Hey guys, Whitney here. Welcome to another episode of the Ashwell Show. We do this show every single week to help you demystify some of the obstacles related to investing in real estate and just investing in general. Maybe you've tried to buy rentals before or invest, but just got totally stuck in analysis paralysis mode and lost your confidence. Or maybe you've invested in a few properties already, but have just hit a ceiling of growth in your portfolio. Or maybe you're just so overwhelmed by all the options and the investments out there, just all the information, and you're just plain stuck. You don't even know where to start. If this is you, whether you have one rental under your belt or have multiple rentals, you are in the right place. You see, I was once in your shoes. This is me and my crazy family. This is the whole reason why I have learned to invest in real estate and other financial passive vehicles. You see, I started off flipping and house hacking in 2002 and did quite well building up small and large buckets of money. But I quickly realized I just had another job. I didn't have financial independence and financial freedom. And really, once my husband joined the team and really got involved with our investing as well, we learned that what we needed was cash flow. How could we invest in assets that produce cash flow and a balanced sense of appreciation? So we dove into residential real estate. We built up a portfolio of small multifamily buildings as well as single family rentals, still doing a little fix and flipping on the side. And then we transitioned into multifamily investments. And fast forward, just in the past few years, we have partnered in several investment assets, and we still continue to flip. But really, I'm going to tell you, none of this was possible until we learned how to leverage those first 30 rentals that we got, recycling the same capital over and over again, utilizing other people's money, including the bank money, in order to build that base foundation. Think of it as the foundation of the pyramid that everything else can build off of. But more importantly, we were able to do this while we're working in a normal job, wife, family, just taking care of ourselves. And you can be anywhere today, but what makes what I'm going to share so different? You see, I focus on the three core things that I learned over 18 years of investing that will help anyone achieve financial independence, last put you on the path to financial freedom. And then the first thing is you have to have a specific investing roadmap. And I've built that for myself. I've built it for other people. But that roadmap to help you reach financial independence in a fraction of the time. If you don't have a plan, it's going to take you so much longer, and you may actually never get there. Once you hit that tipping point of independence, I guarantee you your mindset is shift, your finances have shift, and we can actually put you down that path of financial freedom. Two, you have to have a formula for repeatable systems and the right team to execute these systems. All right. Otherwise, if you're trying to do it all yourself, DIY everything, all you got is another job. Okay. So we have systems that we share. We share a network of providers to really help you launch into setting this up as a business, not as a job or a second job or a side hustle. And then you have to learn how to scale quickly. Okay, scaling comes in two forms. One, the systems and the team, but also how can you use other people's money smartly to accelerate your wealth build? Now, you don't have to go crazy raising, private investor capital or anything like that. Well, that's certainly an option, but even learning how to use bank money and different types of lending streams efficiently and effectively can really help you light a fire under your investing career. What is the result? That's what people are here for. You want to understand when you learn how to build that plan, put the systems in place, surround yourself with the right team and put the scaling factors into place. What is the result you're going to get? And that is 100% choice in how you spend your time. And that's what I have here today. So I can tell you, you can do it. But you got to start somewhere. So let's start with some of the secrets that kind of help you down this path. Right? And today we're going to tackle that topic. Do you need an LLC? Do you need some sort of legal structure at this phase in your investing? Okay. Now, let's define what an LLC is first. Okay, so a LLC is a limited liability company, and it's an entity that you can either own solely or partially. Okay, now that seems pretty vague. And what we're going to talk about here today is, do you put real estate in an LLC? Okay, but why do we even want to consider putting together a legal structure like a limited liability company? Well, the main objective of forming an LLC is to actually draw a line, okay? Put a container around your business assets and draw that line between your business and personal assets, thereby allowing you to insulate your personal assets from the activities that occur on the property. Okay, now that is a very important distinction. The LLC helps insulate your personal assets from the activities that occur on the property. You still have another form of attack here, guys, and that is what happens, what you do personally, are your assets sheltered? Okay, so that is a whole other conversation, but just remember this is kind of bottom up protection. Okay, now the answer here, do you need an LLC? Okay, I'm going to give you the short answer. Okay, and the typical real estate answer, and it depends. Okay, guys, I am not a lawyer. Okay, but I'm going to give you some very key insights in methodology to kind of think through this so you can actually kind of determine for yourself if this is something you even want to explore. So, when I say it depends, it really depends on what your investing goals are, how many properties you want to acquire, and more importantly, how much of your own personal equity is at risk in those properties. What states are you going to invest in? Okay. What state do you live in? And it's, do you even want to have an LLC? Do you even want to kind of, mess around with that? So let's dive a little bit deeper. There's some requirements when we talk about LLCs. Okay. First, you have to keep the property in good repair. Okay. Guys, if you are negligent with your property, it doesn't matter if you have an LLC or not. That thing's going to get blown apart. All right. You have to hold the title to the property in the LLC. I know that sounds kind of like a no-brainer, but so many times I've seen investors set up an LLC and never move title of the property into the LLC. The title's still in their own personal name. Does the LLC do you any good in that point? No, it doesn't. Okay. So you actually have to move title of the asset into the LLC. And you have to run it as if it were a business. Okay. Just by moving title, you can't just go wipe your hands clean and go, great, I'm protected. So when we talk about running the LLC as if it's a business, it means there's this legal container around you called the corporate veil. Okay. So to properly run it as a business, that LLC has to have its own bank account where all of the income is coming into that bank account and all the expenses are going out of that bank account. Okay, nothing's getting shuffled around and commingled. You have to have proper bookkeeping. Each LLC has to have its own set of books. Okay, you have to keep proper bookkeeping. All right, logging all the income, logging all the expenses. Okay, you also have to maintain your corporate records. Okay, and a lot of people will go online to maybe like, I don't know, nolo.com, form their LLC. I am not suggesting doing this, but that's fine. You can get your articles of incorporation, maybe your initial certificate of good standing, but you have to have other records around that, like an operating agreement, to help actually run this as a business and prove to any lawyer who might sue the LLC that this is its own business. Also, you have to maintain corporate minutes and records and hold your corporate annual or biannual corporate meeting, depending on the state, and file all that paperwork and fees and maintenance fees with the state. All right. So it's not just opening up the LLC, moving title, and you wipe your hands. Okay. There's a lot of record keeping here. You have to keep it in good standing with the state. You can't let it lapse. Okay, if you don't pay your fees or don't file your minutes in an orderly fashion, your LLC will lapse with the state that you filed in, and now you've blown your corporate veil. Okay, that protection you were yearning with the LLC is no longer there. Also, you can't commingle funds, meaning, let's say you've got, 10K sitting in your LLC. You can't use that to pay personal expenses or even another property's expense. You have to make sure that you are moving those funds around appropriately. So you, again, don't commingle funds. Whatever funds are in that bank account is for that LLC to pay the expenses for that LLC. And you can have multiple properties in the LLC if you chose to do that. Now let's talk about the pros and cons of actually having an LLC. Okay, so the LLC, we've already talked about it a little bit. It gives you some asset protection, okay? Bottom up asset protection. It draws that containment line between your asset that you have in that LLC and your personal assets, okay? Not the other way around, just bottom up. All right. It can also provide some tax advantages too. There is what we call qualified business income. There's various tax flow through, with having an LLC that you can take advantage of. Now, I'm going to put I should have put a little asterisk here. You still get those tax advantages even if you're a sole proprietor. Okay. It's just, it looks cleaner. You're less likely to get audited if you have that in an LLC. All right. It can help you build credit for your business. Now, I've seen people hotly contest this on various forums. Do you actually need the business credit? Yeah, it can actually really help you if you're going to open up a credit card and maybe you're doing some fix and flipping and you want to take out lines of credit. If that LLC that business entity has its own credit line of history, that's amazing. That can open up doors for you for lending and lines of credit. It also offers, operations flexibility because you're running everything into the LLC. Again, there's various things that you can do tax accounting wise that your accountant can help you with to be able to operate that LLC effectively and efficiently for you. Now, there are some maybe not necessarily cons, but definitely things that you need to think about. Okay, LLCs are costly to set up. If you have a lawyer set up an LLC, it might cost you $800 to $1,200, and that's to get your articles of incorporation filed and everything like that. Set up your operating agreement. So it could be costly to set it up. It also can be costly to maintain, depending on the state. Some states are $30 every 2 years. Other states are hundreds of dollars annually. Okay, it does add a layer of complexity to your tax situation, okay, especially depending on how you actually set up that LLC. So make sure you partner with your legal and tax advisors before even considering setting up an LLC. Financing. It can complicate financing a little bit because not all lenders will lend to an LLC. If you are actually getting the loan in an LLC, you have to go with some sort of business financing on that. You can't do conventional financing. Number 5, it's non-foolproof protection, meaning you can do definitely do some silly things like, blow your corporate veil or, commit a negligent act on the property, and it doesn't matter. The LLC is like, it gets blown apart and the asset is at risk. All right. Also, another con is sometimes people will close on a property in their personal name to take advantage of the low interest rates with conventional financing and then move the property, retitle it to the LLC. That technically triggers that due on sale clause within the loan, okay? Because you have actually switched the owner of the property without including your lender. So now, talk to your legal and professional or tax professional team to see, how many times this due on sale clause has actually been triggered. But that is definitely something that you need to be aware about before setting up the LLC. All right. Here's just a few other things to consider as well as like FAQs, but before you dive into getting an LLC, you still need to have some sort of umbrella insurance, okay? And we'll dive into this in detail in a later episode. But remember that LLC draws that line around the asset and the business asset and your personal asset, but it doesn't protect you from top-down negligence. Maybe you get in a car wreck. and you had a beer at the bar and then you get in a car wreck. Well, and if you're at fault, now all your assets below you are potentially exposed. That's where umbrella insurance can come in, and various other types of legal strategies can help you out. All right. There's always the question, what state should you file in? Should you file for in the state where the asset actually is? Do you need to have actually, an entity in Wyoming or Nevada? This is a great question for your legal advisor to help you understand what state you should file in. Regardless, if your entity is not in the state of where the asset is, you are probably going to have to register doing business as a foreign entity. So don't forget to register your out-of-state LLC in the state where the asset is and where the income is being produced. All right. Do you need multiple entities? Okay. Do you have active activities and passive activities? Okay. This is a great question to work with your tax advisor on, because if you're fix and flipping, you don't want to hold a passive rental in your fix and flip entity. Okay. For structure reasons, for tax reasons, and also for liability reasons. Okay. You want to, maybe you're going to have a couple different entities there. Also, do you need multiple entities because of the amount of equity that would be exposed with being held in an LLC? Okay, that's also something to consider. Number 4, this is for all my friends in California. Does your state have a franchise tax? Okay, that might also impact whether you hold your title to your property in an LLC or not. California charges a pretty beastly for annual franchise tax fee for every additional LLC that is, formed, even if it's out of state. So make sure you work with a legal professional on that. A couple other FAQs. Just keep in mind, you don't need an LLC to write off expenses. If that's the only reason why you're going to set up an LLC is so you can take deductions and expenses, you don't need an LLC. You can use the sole proprietor rules and file that on a Schedule E on your tax return. Okay. Now there's some other pass-through qualified business income that you might not be able to take advantage of. Also, even if you don't set up an LLC, even if you do set up an LLC, any expense that you run through there, you're not off the hook. You still have to keep your books. Every expense you run through there, you have to make sure that it has a business purpose to it. Okay. Now, maybe I've demystified this for you. Maybe I've just helped you answer some questions that were kind of muddling in the back of your head here. But there are some things that you can do right now, today, this second, things that you can do right now to help you protect yourself and your property while you are deciding whether you want to actually set up an LLC or not. Okay, so let's talk about the ways that you can protect yourself. Number 1, be an amazing landlord and just take care of all health and safety items on a property. Take care of your tenant. Okay. Now, I'm not saying, you have to take care of every single minutia repair. I'm saying be an amazing landlord, be responsive, take care of all health and safety items on the property. Okay. Don't let things go into deferred maintenance. Have a great liability insurance policy. Okay. Now, if you're getting a loan on the property, your lender is going to require this, but make sure it is a liability insurance company that will actually pay and will cover your potential loss on the property. All right. Think about taking out a personal or commercial umbrella policy. Again, even the liability insurance policy, like the LLC, that's designed to protect you from a bottom-up attack in your legal structure. You still have to protect the top down, okay? And that's where an umbrella or a personal liability policy comes into effect, right? Consider using financing to reduce your equity exposure. Okay, what do I mean by this? If you have $100,000 to invest in real estate and you're like, nope, I'm only going to buy one house all in cash because I don't want to have all these other risks by having multiple homes, under my belt. Consider this, that whole $100,000 in cash is 100% locked up in that property. Okay, there's some return questions of why we wouldn't want to do that. But from an exposure standpoint, should your tenant slip, trip, or fall on the property, now that whole $100,000 is exposed. Whereas you took the same $100,000 and bought 5 properties with it, and your tenant slips, trips, and falls on the property, and you get sued, now you only have $20,000 of exposure, equity exposure risk in that property, right? So financing can actually help be a risk mitigation strategy. It is not the reason to take out a loan, okay? But it can actually, that's an added benefit. All right, number 5, use property management and a great property manager to help you keep compliant with all the local laws and fair housing standards. Okay, they can be your first line of defense in making sure that you have timely response to your tenant should any issues occur on the property. They're also going to walk that property every couple months, or at least at minimum once a year, to help identify any health and safety issues that need to be taken care of. But also, when the lease gets written, they can help keep you compliant to local laws and not violate fair housing standards. So property management can be another way to protect yourself. All right, guys, I hope you find that this has been time well spent so far. Thanks so much for joining me today. My question to you is, do you want help with this? If you want help figuring out kind of all these nuts and bolts of setting up your real estate portfolio, I've got a solution for you, and that is the Investor Accelerator Program. This program is for people who are just starting out in real estate. You don't have any assets under your belt quite yet, or you're doing this more full time. The Investor Accelerator, think of it like a table, the 4 legs on a table. Okay, if you chop any one of these legs off, the table doesn't work very well. And that's what I see investors who are struggling to scale their portfolio do all the time. So let's talk about what you need to scale. First, you got to have the right education, okay? The education that works. And education is only one piece of the puzzle. Knowledge is, I know they say knowledge is power. Knowledge is potential power. It's what you do with it. So we help you create a plan with that knowledge, okay? We're going to help you put together that business strategy that you can then take into a systematize and put a team around and execute on that business plan. All right. And then the 4th leg of the table, you have to understand how you are going to scale your portfolio. And so we put you in a support network, where we're tackling, your strategy on a business strategy on a monthly basis. We're also putting you in contact with other providers and experts to help you rapidly grow your investing knowledge. We have weekly Ask Me Anything sessions to help you just crush it in between our mastermind sessions. Okay, and so we meet twice a month for a year. And then you also have access to a private group community of like-minded investors who are going in the exact same direction you are. Just think about it. If you had all 4 legs of these table readily available to you right now, the education, the plan, the systems, and the support to scale, like, just how far could you scale? So if you are interested in finding out more information on this, go to ashwealth.com/apply. Just fill out a quick 10-second application. We'll hop on the phone and make sure that this program is right for you. Thanks so much for spending your most valuable resource with me today, which is your time, and we look forward to talking to you really soon.